everybody. So I'm here to explain some of the things about Matthew 24. Some of the things about end times that the Bible says. Right now, we're in a place where we are, a lot of people are talking about it. Some understand. Excuse me. Some understand what it's talking about, what the Bible says, and some don't. And I think that there could be a lot of confusion out there. A lot of people really think that the rapture is going to happen next week. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about what the Bible says about the end times so that there can be some clarity there about kind of where we are. To be clear, I 100% believe we're in the end times right now. I 100% believe that we will see Jesus return in our lifetime, probably, I think soon, but his timeline is his own. But just based on what the Bible says, I feel like um, there's clarity to what we're seeing right now. So I'm going to start with Matthew 24 because I think that's what Jesus said about the end times, and that's a good place to begin to understand what the Bible says. I'm sorry I keep yawning. It's like 11 p.m. So um anyway, so uh in Matthew 24, I highly encourage you to go and read it. Read the whole 24 and 25, but regarding the end times. But what Matthew 24 says is, so starting with verse 3, as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will this happen? What will be the sign that you are coming again? And when will the world come to an end?" So right now we know what we're about to hear about is end times. Jesus answered them, "Be careful not to let anyone deceive you. Many will come using my name. They will say, 'I am the Messiah,' and they will deceive many people. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Don't be alarmed. These things must happen, but they don't mean that the end has come. Nation will fight against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are only the beginning pains of the end." Other other versions say like the birth pangs or something like that, like indicating that it's similar to the pains of childbirth, like how it starts. Um, and so I'm going to stop there just for now. And just, okay, I'll keep going. "Then they will hand you over to those who will torture and kill you. All nations will hate you because you are committed to me. Then many will lose faith. They will betray and hate each other. Many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. And because there will be more and more lawlessness, most people's love will grow cold. But the person who endures to the end will be saved." This good news about the kingdom will be spread throughout the world as a testimony to all nations. Then the end will come. And then it talks about Daniel 9. The prophet Daniel said that the disgusting thing that will cause destruction will stand in the holy place. When you see this, let the reader take note. Those of you in Judea should flee to the mountains. My understanding is that Judea is where the Gaza Strip is. Those who are on the roof should not come down to get anything out of their houses. Those who are in the field should not turn back to get their coats. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So basically, what this is explaining is before the tribulation begins, and then up into kind of where the half point of the tribulation is. The reason why we know this is because in Revelation, it describes that the disgusting thing that will cause destruction Other translations say the abomination of desolation. Many believe that this will be where the Antichrist will go into the temple and he will proclaim himself to be God. So where are we now? There is no temple. The temple has not been built yet. And so that prophecy cannot come true until the temple is built. And so that is why so many people are freaking out about the potential for the third Jewish temple to be built. Because when the third Jewish temple is built, then that is going to make it possible for this prophecy to come true. The Antichrist can't stand in a temple that doesn't exist. So now, how fast can they erect a temple? I mean, that action takes place 3.5 years into the tribulation, according to what Revelation says. And it also begins the great tribulation, or like the worst part of the tribulation. And so I think that they had said that they could build the temple in about 18 months. So the temple doesn't have to be already built before the tribulation begins. It just has to be built before that 3.5 year point begins. But for people who are watching the red heifer stuff, what that means, that is so let me explain. So currently uh there have been some red cows that apparently are blemishless and were of the correct age, that were in Israel. They were from Texas, um, and they were shipped to Israel because they meet these requirements um, that the Lord outlined in the Old Testament, um, about, they have to be blemishless. They can't have more than like a few hair, like 3 black hairs or something. They have to be red cows. They have to be in a certain age range. So I'm not going to go into all the detail about the requirements for those, but I will tell you that they found cows that they believed met those requirements. And they sent them from Texas to Israel like a year ago or so. The reason why this is a big deal is because the red heifers have not a red heifer has not been sacrificed. Um, so you need the ashes of the red heifer in order to be able to erect a temple. The ashes of the red heifer are used in order to, like, I honestly, that I don't know. They're used for something, and it's a requirement before the temple can be built. And so they cannot build the temple until they have the ashes of a spotless red heifer. My understanding is that this has happened less than 8 times in 6,000 years. So like, it's not like these are found very often. So the fact that they found red heifers that they believed met the requirements was like a huge deal. So recently, they disqualified all of the red heifers that were in Israel, or they said they did. There's a lot of skepticism about whether or not they really did disqualify them, or if they were just like keeping the sacrifice under the radar, because as soon as the temple is beginning to be built, then it's going to probably cause some war between um, Israel and um, like Muslims from all over the place. So why is that? That is because the Temple Mount, where where Israel believes that the temple has to go. The Lord's given a lot of requirements for the temple. So where they believe that the temple has to go is the Temple Mount. Um, it's in my understanding is Jerusalem. And it was where King David put the first temple. Or no, King David didn't build it. Solomon built the first temple. Um, but um, wait, did Solomon build the first temple? I'm not sure. But it's where the like spot for the temple was ordained. So basically that spot today is where the Dome of the Rock is. The Dome of the Rock is one of the holiest Islamic temples in the world. Um, and so the Dome of the Rock was built um, purposefully in that location, in my opinion, to prevent the Jews from being able to put their holy temple in that spot. Um, so there was definitely like some undermining there on why that Dome of the Rock was put there. So to answer the question of why is there so much rivalry over Jerusalem, so the um, the reason why there's so much rivalry over Jerusalem is because Abraham was told by God that he would be the father of many nations and that he would bless his seed. That's in the Old Testament. So he told him that he would give him a son, and Abraham got impatient. Sarah, his wife, went through menopause and was old, super old, um, way past the age of childbearing. Like when she actually ended up finally giving birth to their son, she was like 90 years old, according to the Old Testament. So, too old, way too old. And they believe that, the prophecy wasn't going to be fulfilled. So, Sarah took matters into her own hands and she gave Abraham her handmaid, Hagar, I believe. So Abraham had a son with Hagar, and is that her name? I think so. Anyway, why do I think everybody's name is Hagar? I think that it's a Hagar. Anyway, so Abraham had a son with Hagar, and his name was Ishmael. And so Ishmael was like not the promised son. He was kind of Abraham taking things into his own hands. And so after Ishmael was born, like even I think they were like years apart, like maybe even 10 years apart. Finally Sarah got pregnant and had Isaac. And Isaac was the promised seed, who was born not out of wedlock, but born like to Abraham's wife. And so Isaac is the one who had the promise on him. And so basically the promised, but Ishmael was also Abraham's son, and Ishmael is the father of a lot of the Muslims. Also, another father of the Muslims was Esau. So Esau was, so Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob and Esau, twins. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. So the birthright was he was the oldest son, and he sold his birthright to Jacob, his younger brother, like by, a minute or whatever, his twin. But still, like it counts in Jewish culture, like the oldest gets a double portion. So if you have, two kids, then you break the inheritance into three. The older one gets two of the three, and the younger one gets one of the three. And they do this because the older one has the responsibility of the household and taking care of like his mother and, all of the like girls that don't have husbands yet, stuff like that. Like he's in charge of the estate. And so he gets the double portion. Well, the Lord told Sarah when she was pregnant with Jacob and Esau, um, that the younger one was going to be the one who got the inheritance. And so um, Isaac, knowing this prophecy that the Lord gave to Sarah, still intended to give the birthright to Esau. And Esau sold the birthright to Jacob in an emotional moment after hunting. And so he sold his birthright to his brother for a pot of stew. So Jacob tricked his father into thinking he was Esau so that his father would actually bless him. And it caused a deep rivalry between Jacob and Esau. A lesser known fact is that Esau was a rebel. He married a Canaanite woman, went against his parents' wishes, did not marry a woman who was like from their, I don't know what you call it, family, home, whatever, from their people. And he married a Canaanite woman. So when he did that, his children eventually became the Edomites. They were from the house of Edom, Edom. And that group of people, the Edomites, is now today the Palestinians. So it would, like Philistines. So they were enemies of Israel. And so anyway, so the Edomites, the Palestinians, especially, as well as Muslims in general, they lay claim or want to lay claim to the promised land that was promised to Abraham, because they say, well, we're the product of Abraham's seed, Ishmael and Esau, but the birthright went through Jacob, who later the Lord changed his name to Israel. So, so that's where the claim, like the discrepancy comes from, why there's like a warring over the land of Jerusalem. Like the Edomites, the Palestinians, the sons of Esau, sons and daughters of Esau, grandchildren, they claim that they have a right to the promised land. But the Bible says that the promised land was given to Israel. So that is where the war comes from between them, that they cannot get along. And they fight over Jerusalem and the land of Israel. That's why. They both say that they have a birthright to it. So when the Dome of the Rock was placed on the Temple Mount, that caused there to be like a religious war over the land, because in order to put the temple where it was believed at the time that the Temple Mount belonged, where it was believed at the time that the temple was, in order to put the temple there, the Dome of the Rock was in the way. And so they believed that they would have to knock down the Dome of the Rock, and the Muslims are not having that. Like they will cause there will be a holy war of wars if the Jews try to knock down the Dome of the Rock to build their temple. And to build their temple, there are so many regulations and specific things in order for them to build the temple the way God says. And it's God's temple, so they have to build it the way he said to build it, where he said to build it. They have to sacrifice what he said to sacrifice, the way he said to sacrifice it before it can be built. So like there's a lot. Recently, because now, right, we're in the end times, so this temple is needing to be built. There have been some archaeological discoveries that have shown that the Dome of the Rock was actually placed off center of the Temple Mount, where it should be. And so now there is actually coming to an understanding that there is room for the temple on the Temple Mount without tearing down the Dome of the Rock. So one of the things that we see in Revelation, which is crazy, talks about the treaty that is going to be made, I believe, in order to allow for the Temple Mount to be used to put the Jewish temple on it. And so that is in Revelation, let's see, Revelation, I think 11 maybe? Let's see. Okay, yes. So it says, Revelation 11:1. Then I was given a stick like a measuring stick, and I was told, stand up and measure the temple of God and the altar. Count those who worship there, but do not measure the temple courtyard. Leave that out, because it is given to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. I will allow my 2 witnesses who are sackcloth to speak what God has revealed, and they will speak for 1260 days. So this is kind of indicating that it's going to be like in the end times, that basically they're not going to include the courtyard, the measured courtyard of the temple. They're going to give that to the nations. So I believe that that means that the temple will be built without the courtyard in order to avoid invading on the Dome of the Rock and their space, but it will still allow for the temple to be built. So we're kind of like, we're there. I've heard that there are more red heifers to be sacrificed that would qualify, which is crazy because there never have been, like, for thousands and thousands of years, and now there's like a bunch, but they've either disqualified them or sacrificed them very quietly. But apparently there's more of them too that may qualify. So either way, it's definitely possible that the red heifer's ashes can be used. They can sacrifice it and build the temple. So we're there, guys. Other things that are said in Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars. Hello, that's where we are right now in the world. I mean, it's everywhere. Every country is threatening every country with war right now. And then famines, but it says also earthquakes. And we're like seeing so many huge earthquakes all over the earth. Now it says that in Matthew 24, it says this is the birth pains, is the wars and the rumors of wars, the famines and the earthquakes. So it says we're not there yet. It says that it's not time yet. So the earthquakes are a sign, and it says birth pains, which we think about women, what happens in childbirth. You start having these like mild pains, and then they increase in intensity and frequency. They get closer together and they get more intense. And now we're seeing this happen with these earthquakes, that they're happening more and more, and they're strong. They're very strong. So this is what I believe. I believe that we're currently in the birth pains. We're not yet in the place where we're in the tribulation. But we just need to keep our eyes open and watch for it. I'll do another video where I explain more about the Daniel 9 prophecy and more about what Matthew 24 says, but just so you have kind of a background and an understanding of why we are clearly in the end times, and what's happening. Hope this helps, and with any questions. Have a good night.